Hello everyone, this is Dawn over at Plot Chronicles. Today I want to do a short video and tell you about books that I want to really get into more. Let's get started and chat about it. I know that I would say 95% of everything I read are thrillers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I want to start opening myself up to different types of books, but I want to read really good books. And I know what I think is a really good book is different than what other people do, but I do have to say something. And I mean, people may disagree with this, but if I recommend a book, I'm not saying everyone, okay? But the books that I recommend, most people like those books, okay? And a lot of the books I recommend, people that don't like reading like those books. So, you know, I think honestly, I sometimes wonder, and I know this sounds like off topic, but I have to say this. You know, all these books or movies that people go, oh my gosh, it's brilliant, oh, it's wonderful. I wonder if people are just saying that because other people are saying that. It kind of reminds me of this TV episode, maybe it was Candid Camera. They brought in, and I'm just going to give you an example, and I know I'm going off topic, but just bear with me. They brought in some kind of cracker, and they had some inexpensive tuna and generic crackers, and then they had the cheapest wine you could get, or champagne, and they told everybody that they flew this caviar and crackers and champagne in from France, and it was super expensive, and that, you know, that it cost a lot of money, but they were trying to get people's opinions on this product and how they liked it, and it was the cheapest of the cheap, okay? And people were like tasting it and raving about it because they thought it was so expensive and that it was just so fabulous. And then they found out that it was just cheap generic crackers and the cheapest tuna fish and really the cheapest champagne. See what I'm getting at? And so I kind of wonder, all these books that everyone loves, like let's say there's an author that was really good for a long time, wrote some great books, and then maybe the last few years their books are mediocre, but people are still raving about them because of the old reputation. It's kind of like that. Anyway, sorry I'm getting rambly at the beginning of the video. I don't normally do that, but let me know if any of that resonates with you, okay? But I really feel like I need to get into some genres. I feel like number one, romance. I read a little bit of it, like Danielle Steele, but I would like to read a little bit more. Like my mother used to love historical romance. My daughter called it bodice rippers. I thought that was hysterical. Maybe read a little bit of historical romance or romance books. Number two, I rarely, and I'm going to say never, read sci-fi or fantasy. That would be something good for me to get into. Number three, I've read a few of these, but to be honest with you, they're kind of boring. But biographies and autobiographies, I rarely read any of those. Four, historical fiction. I do like Kristen Hanna. I like her, and I've read several of her books. Number five, nonfiction. I rarely read nonfiction. Six, humor. I guess I don't really read any humor books. Seven, literature. I don't read much literature whatsoever, and a lot of it I don't find that interesting. And number eight, science, you know, things where I'm actually going to learn something. And number nine, self-help. And then number 10, history. I actually am making myself this month read a book about Benjamin Franklin. Okay? I'm going to force myself to read it because I really want to branch out. If I'm going to have this channel, I want to branch out and read different types of genres of books because I mostly read thriller. I want to ask you guys a question. In the comments below, if you were to say the two, let's just say two, the two genres you read the most, what would they be? For me, I'm going to say thriller is going to be number one, 95%. And then maybe romance / drama is going to be the second one. And then historical fiction, but Kristen Hanna is the only one that I read historical fiction from. So I'm going to say thriller is 95% of it. So I want to find out from you guys, what do you mostly read? Do you ever feel like you want to branch out and learn different genres? I do try to, but the thing is like, I know this is crazy, but let's say that you never read any history books and you try to and you're like, oh, I just can't get into it. It would be wonderful if somebody would write a book, like a history book, that was so interesting that you just couldn't put it down. You're like, wow, I used to not like history, but after reading this book, I love history. Or I used to not like sci-fi and fantasy, but after reading this series, it kept me so engaged, I love it. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this topic, guys. I'll see you on the next video. I want to say thank you to everybody's support. I love you, I appreciate you, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.